Welcome in, everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started. So for our presentation today, we are going to be talking about how AI can help you build interactive STEM lessons that students love. So as far as who we are, my name is Carrie Richmond. I'm serving as moderator speaker as well. I am a K-12 STEM specialist and an account executive at Jove. I was a middle and high school science teacher actually for 15 years in the state of West Virginia. And I was also a Board of Education math and science coordinator. So I have done a teacher role and an administrative role. And Shauna, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Shauna Carlson. I'm an AI integration specialist and marketing director at Jove as well. I have been a pretty early adopter of AI and prompt engineering. It's still, I would consider fairly new technology, just past few years where it's really been becoming mainstream. And I have over 13 years in the education industry, over 20 years in a marketing role as well.
Thank you, Shauna. Okay, so as far as what you can expect to get from this today, your key takeaways are going to be to have an understanding of AI in STEM education. You're going to see how to integrate our videos into lesson plans using AI and explore case studies demonstrating AI assisted lesson creation. At the end, you will get free STEM videos. You'll get your pick of 5 PhD reviewed STEM videos aligned to NGSS, AP, and state standards. And there's over 3,500 videos available for you to choose from. So we're going to start today with a poll. And for this poll, there we go. So the first question is, what is your biggest challenge when incorporating technology into your STEM lessons? So lack of time for lesson planning, difficulty finding engaging resources, your students are struggling with complex concepts, there's an uncertainty about how to integrate AI effectively, or all the above. We'll give you just a minute to get those votes in for us. Kind of what I suspected, all the above.
Same,
Lots of
yeah.
all the above, yeah. Okay, it looks like the bars just stopped moving, so I think, well, let's move it again a little bit. There we go. So I think, yeah, pretty much we can come to the conclusion there that it is all the above for sure. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Shauna now, and she will take over from here.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. So, just a quick overview here on what is generative AI. So basically, it's like ChatGPT or Perplexity is another one you may have heard of, and it can assist STEM educators or anyone really. But in this particular webinar, we're talking about STEM on how you can streamline your lesson planning, generate maybe customized assessments for your students. Um, and adapt content in real time for diverse learning levels as well. It can also help you suggest ways to incorporate supplemental tools like interactive videos, and help design hands-on experiments or lab activities as well. And it's just a great way to enhance engagement and deepen student understanding as well. So, why should we use AI in our STEM classrooms? Well, number one, it's a huge time saver. You'll see as we move on, we'll do a couple case studies here in real time using ChatGPT, uh, but it can help automate any time consuming tasks like lesson plans, quiz creation, stuff we already talked about, and help you generate materials like worksheets or assessments. And it can also help you quickly adapt lessons for the different learning levels as we discussed as well. You can create personalized learning experiences for your students. So it will allow for adaptive learning, meaning it will tailor content to each student's pace and understanding level based on the prompts that you enter. And for struggling students, for example, it can provide simplified explanations, step by step guidance, or any additional practice problems needed. Maybe for your more advanced students, you might want more challenging problems or inquiry based projects, or maybe some sort of AI generated real world application as well. Um, it also helps encourage inquiry-based learning. So you can generate open-ended questions and real-world problem scenarios to help prompt your students to think critically and explore those STEM concepts through investigation. It can help you structure student-led experiments as well by providing hypotheses, maybe some guiding questions or suggestions for data collection. It can also assist with research by summarizing any kind of complex scientific studies and offering any relevant background information that might be needed to generate discussion topics. And tools like AI powered simulations allow students to test those hypotheses and analyze variables and manipulate conditions as well. And then finally, AI in a STEM classroom is great because it can enhance engagement with interactive learning opportunities. And we kind of touched on these as well. So it can suggest ways to incorporate videos, labs, simulations to help bring those STEM concepts to life. You can use it to generate step by step instructions for hands on lab activities or science experiment guides, and also, as we've mentioned before, adapt them for different learning styles as well. And it can help create maybe some more gamified type experiences with those quizzes or challenges and interactive problem solving activities. I mean, really, it's all based on what you'll see coming up soon here. What input you give to ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever AI platform you're using. So we've got another poll coming up here for you all to answer. Have you used AI in your teaching so far? I haven't used it yet. I've used AI for lesson planning and content creation. Maybe you've incorporated AI-driven quizzes or assessments or activities, or your students are using AI for learning and research. Okay, perfect. Kind of where I was thinking things might be heading. A lot of you have been using it though, so that's great. Probably just getting more comfortable and confident in it, I think is huge and key as well. All right, I don't see the bars moving too much anymore, so maybe we'll move on. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, we've got a couple case studies that we'll walk through. So, this first case study, we want to take a look at how we can use AI to create an interactive science lesson, middle school physical science lesson around Newton's third law of motion. So, um, maybe you found some supplemental materials that you would like to include in your lesson on Newton's third law. Here's an example of a video that I would want to incorporate in a lesson I was creating for Newton's third law.
Have you ever wondered how a boat moves forward when you row? This simple example perfectly demonstrates Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When a person rows a boat, they push water backward with the oar. This backward push acts as the action. In response, the water exerts an equal force on the boat, but in the opposite direction, causing it to move forward.
All right, so that's one of the supplemental tools that we want to try to include in our lesson plan. As we move forward, this is where we start to build out that lesson plan and identify all the things that we want to include in there using AI. So one thing that maybe some of you have heard of before, I'd be curious if you have or not, if you want to drop it into the chat, if you've heard of prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is really the practice of designing and refining the different prompts that you enter into ChatGPT to really effectively communicate with it the most useful and relevant responses that you want to get back. So it really involves crafting your inputs in a way to help guide the AI to produce those outputs that you want more efficiently and more effectively. So some key aspects of prompt engineering are to really be clear and specific, include any context that you might need, or formatting. So maybe you want a list or tables or step-by-step instructions for a lab. Any constraints and examples that you might have. So You can say, I have a word limit or a time limit. Maybe your lecture or your lesson is only 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Make sure you include that in there. And then any iteration and refinement you need to do, you can experiment with different phrasings to get different results. So for this example, never heard of the term, but yes, that's exactly what you're doing there, Philip. So for this example, for Newton's third law for the middle school physical science lesson, we've identified the subject that we want to create. We have some specific materials we might want to include as well, the video, some hands-on labs. We want to align to our state standard, whether you're in Texas and it's TEKS, or you're in multiple other states and you're aligning to NGSS. We can make sure we're aligning to that. And we want to include some hands-on elements as well. So what I'm going to do now is launch us into ChatGPT right away. And we're going to just start building this out. So the first thing I would want to do is make sure that I'm aligning my lesson to whatever my standard is for my state. So in this example, because a majority of states are based around NGSS or similar, we'll use that in our example, but you can use your state-specific one. So I've typed in here, what NGSS middle school standard aligns with Newton's third law of motion? We'll hit enter and get several response here. All right. And then it'll go into some more detail as well. Great. The next thing that I want to do is include some more context in my prompt engineering. So now I know how I want to align it. I want to include that I have supplemental materials I want to add, maybe some assessment questions. I want to also include a hands-on activity, things of that nature. So I will drop those in here as well. Let me grab those from my other prompts. Just give me 1 second. All right. So I'm going to drop in here to generate a lesson plan aligned to the standard for middle school students that uses our video and include the link to it, have multiple choice questions for assessment, have a hands-on activity, and maybe include a worksheet as well. Again, these are all based on whatever it is you specifically are going after. So we'll see what pops up here. All right, you will see that it is giving us an overview, telling us the duration. So one of the things you might want to refine is to add in, I only have 45 minutes for this specific lesson, or it can span 2 days or 2 class periods, 45 sessions each. And it'll give you some objectives, different materials that you will need, an outline of what will happen each day and suggested time periods for it. And an assessment. So, and then we'll go into the same on day 2, where we've got a hands-on experiment, an evaluation, an exit ticket. Here's our multiple choice questions for assessment as an example. Worksheets, we'll see those in here as well. And it just keeps going. And you can even download that worksheet there as well. So as you see, quickly and easily, we have generated a lesson plan for middle schoolers on Newton's third law aligned to NGSS. But now maybe we need to refine this a little bit further to go into different learning levels and differentiated experiences. So we can also use AI for that as well, for diverse learning level needs. What we'll see here is maybe we have a student who is advanced, somebody who's struggling and needs some more step-by-step guidance, and maybe somebody who's more of a visual learner, right? So if that is the case, then we would want to continue in our strand that we currently have going with ChatGPT, and add in another prompt to help us with our lesson. So I'm going to paste in here to adapt this lesson for advanced learners, struggling learners, and visual learners. This one will probably take a bit because essentially it will take the lesson plan it just created and create 3 versions of it as well. And we'll see that breakdown as well as we continue. And you can tell it's still working because of the way this button is right here, that it's still thinking and adapting and moving through that. But that's what we'll see happening there. I'm not going to wait for the whole thing to complete, or maybe it did already. Sometimes it's longer than others. So that's how quickly it can move. So that's what happens if you're trying to create those lesson plans. Let me go back here to our presentation. All right. So this is our next case study, and this is for a high school chemistry lesson that we would like to do on chemical reactions and balancing equations. So as we move along, again, there's a couple videos that we would like to integrate into our lesson planning. The first one here is on chemical reactions.
A chemical reaction is a process where atoms in one or more substances, known as reactants, rearrange their structure by breaking the chemical bonds between their atoms and forming new bonds to create the products. Consider the combustion of organic fuels. The molecules in the fuel, such as methane, react with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. For all chemical reactions, the number of atoms of each element of reactants is balanced with the products they generate.
Okay, great. So that was the first one we want. And since this is about chemical reactions and balancing equations, the next video I want to include is on balancing equations.
Of one or more substances into different materials. A reaction is conventionally represented using a chemical equation, which utilizes chemical formulas to represent the atoms, molecules, or compounds involved. The substances present at the start of a reaction and consumed during the process are called reactants. Reactants are specified on the left side of the equation. The substances formed during the reaction are called products and are indicated on the right side of the equation. An arrow separating the reactants and products shows the direction of the reaction. The different states of matter are depicted using parenthesized abbreviations.
All right, so those are the 2 videos we would like to include in our lesson plan. This is the same slide we went over for the middle school, but just to refine and refresh, right? This is where we are going into prompt engineering. We want to identify the standard that we're aligning to, the subject we want, which we've already identified, and anything else we want to include, hands-on labs, experiments, assessment questions, a worksheet, anything like that that we would like to keep in there. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we will jump back into ChatGPT. And we'll do the same thing that we did for middle school. We can do to high school. You could do for elementary, whatever it is that you're teaching, math, anything like that. So my first prompt I like to enter is, that was the old one. I need to get the new one, for what aligns with, one second here. Chemical, what NGSS standard aligns with chemical reactions and balancing equations? I keep typoing because everybody's watching. All right, and we'll see what pops up here. Okay, as you can see, it popped it up for high school and middle school. So we'll say refine for high school. And again, it's all about simplifying, refining, making sure we're providing as much context as possible. As you can see, they refined it for high school specifically. Here's the NGSS standard, and they break it out by the DCI as well. Cross-cutting concepts and applications in the classroom, some example experiments, gives you a lot of good information. So from this, we want to go further, right, and continue on with our lesson plan creation. So we'll enter in here, hey, generate a lesson plan based on that NGSS standard. Use the videos, the supplemental tools that we want to include to help refine and help students understand maybe some of these more complex concepts more easily. We want some assessment in there, maybe a hands-on experiment, and how about a real-time student feedback template for lab reports is something else we could plug in. So we'll hit enter and we'll see what it pops out. Again, depending on the length of your course or your lesson, I would use that as another point of refinement as well. So you'll see here it's suggesting 2 to 3 class periods of 45 to 50 minutes each, what the objectives are. It's going to give you a list of materials you'll need and the outline along with how much time you'll need for each area. So it starts with the introduction, then it goes into sharing some of the videos that we talked about as well, going into balancing equations, some practice examples, and then we'll start to see how we can then apply what the students have learned and what you've just shared with them in hands-on lab and real-world applications as well. And then, of course, we want to assess their knowledge of what they've retained from the lesson so far. So here's some multiple choice questions that it's provided along with answers, and a template for some real-time student feedback as well. Oh, and here's even a rubric that can be used as well. Sometimes I have done this example several times in prep for this webinar, and I'll always get something a little different every time I submit it. So that's why you'll always want to make sure you're refining it and making sure you're getting all the prompts in just as you like them as well. So here we go. We've got all of that great information in here. Now, the next thing that we want to do is refine even further, right? Let's say we need to differentiate this for our different learners, right? We've got some advanced, some struggling, some visual learners. So we'll do the same thing where we'll say, hey, let's adapt this for those different types of learners, and it'll create 3 different lesson plans for each type of learner. So you'll see that populating here, and it might take a little bit, but if you think about how much time you're saving, as you can see how quickly ChatGPT is spitting out all these different lesson plans and for different learning as well, it's pretty impressive how quickly it can move. All right, so let's move back in to the presentation here. All right, so we talked about prompt engineering, using it for diverse learning levels. Here's a few tips for success in using AI. We've kind of talked about these already, but prompt engineering is huge. You want to be specific, right? You need to review and edit any of the content to ensure accuracy before you share it out with anyone, because you'll come to find out, maybe it wasn't exactly 100% spot on in certain areas. So you'll want to make sure that you're reviewing and editing before you share it with your students or administrators or things like that. I will give you an example here. You can also use ChatGPT to generate images. So I generated this image using ChatGPT, but if you try to put words in there, it will always misspell the words in the images and you have a lot of issues. So it's always good to just make sure you're reviewing everything before it goes live. And it's a great tool to use for inspiration, right? And brainstorming sometimes, and then take those brainstormed ideas to translate into your final product. You might have some ideas on different lessons you want to do or a topic or subject area, and you can ask it to generate several different lesson plan ideas around that. And then you want to ensure any videos or supplemental materials that you want to include are aligning with your curriculum goals as well. All right. So with that, let's see, we've got another polling question. What are you most excited to try after this webinar? Using AI to generate those lesson plans and activities, incorporating quizzes and assessments, enhancing your lessons with interactive videos and simulations, or using it for student-led inquiry and problem solving. All right, lesson plans and activities is huge, yeah. I realize some of these kind of line up into the lesson plan and activities as well, so it's kind of a bit of a catch-all. All right, we're seeing some good responses here, yeah. All right. Great, thank you. All right, next up, we're streaming through this pretty quickly, actually. Let's go into some Q&A. So let's see what we got here, Carrie.
Let's see. What do we have? Let's see. Can we see what was entered into the AI again? So as far as like the prompt, I'm assuming is what she is requesting.
Yeah, let me share my screen again. Okay, so here, I'll just scroll back up to the top from our initial entrance. So we started with what standard, NGSS standard, middle school standard aligns with Newton's third law of motion. And then we did the same for high school for chemical reactions and balancing equations. It gave us our response. And then from there, we asked it to generate a lesson plan aligned to that standard for middle school students. And we said that we want to include supplemental material like this video on Newton's third law. We want some multiple choice questions to assess understanding, and we want some activities and hands-on experiments and a worksheet that they can use. I would also suggest, right, refining it by the amount of time you have for your lesson as well. And then we see that it spits out a lot of great material that you can copy and paste. I would suggest, copy and pasting the responses into like a Google Doc or a slide deck or something like that. And then you can kind of work through and refine it from there. Sometimes the first responses you get might not be as spot on as you want, and you'll want to enter some refinement prompts before you think you're in a really good place to kind of do a copy paste into your slide deck or your Word doc or however you want to present this or have it for yourself, and then make refinements from there. Would you have any other suggestions on that, Carrie?
No, that sounds perfect.
All right. Okay,
Let's
what else do we
see.
have?
AI is the future, no doubt, but how do you get around the feeling that you're not the one doing any of the work? We tell students they shouldn't use AI for their work, but we as educators can.
That's a great question, and I would say that's
Mhm.
where it comes down to, getting specific on what it is you're entering as your prompts, right? To help it be
Mhm.
more personalized to what you are planning, and then once you get the content, you're definitely going in and you're refining it, you're editing it, it's never gonna be perfect. Um, Carrie, anything else you would wanna add on that?
Yeah, that's just the thing. It all depends on your comfort level, and the more you use it and the more familiar you become with it, the more comfortable you'll be with it.
Mhm.
Let's see. Okay, we've got another one. What are some top AI other than ChatGPT for education, specifically science education? The other one that you mentioned, what was it? Perplexity? Is that?
Perplexity, yeah, that's another
Hmm.
one that can be used. There is I actually just entered into ChatGPT to see what it says, and it says there's Labster, and Socratic by Google. Um, uh, yeah, there's a Google AI education tool as well. Um, yeah,
Gotcha. Let's see. Can this be done with state-specific standards for those who do not use NGSS by just putting in the standard words? I believe if you just go into ChatGPT and you actually put the state that you're in, it will find that standard for you. And based on
Yeah,
whatever you may call your standards, just use that technical term.
yeah, let's do a live example here. So I'm going to use
Yeah.
Texas because I'm more familiar with that one. So I could say, what is the middle school standard, or we'll say high school standard for chemical reactions and balancing equations. All right, and here we go. There's two different ones, Chem 9.A and 9.B. And then they'll even provide you the source so you can click on that and go directly to the source.
Let's see. If a link, see, hold on. While we want to use our discernment about the videos and simulations, has your experience been that the generative AI reviews the content of the videos suggested before including them?
Um, yes and no. So it does
Mhm.
review them a bit, and this is again where it comes back to, once it spits out results, you need to go in and double check them as well. So we had pre-vetted the videos we shared. They're videos obviously from Jove that are PhD reviewed, so we know that they're good quality. But you could enter a prompt like suggest videos that I could include in my lesson plan, and it will just scrape the web, and you'll want to go through and review those and see which ones are correct and you'd want to use.
Okay. If a link to
Um,
a video or resource is behind a paywall, will that affect the output from ChatGPT?
Good question. Yes, it will, because it will require special access, like a login credential. So if that's necessary, then you would have to have that access.
Okay. Let's see. I think we kind of answered this one. What if there's no NGSS standard? How would you start the prompting? We kind of did that with the TEAC standard. So,
Yeah.
um, I teach IT certification courses monthly after college. What's the standard to enter into ChatGPT?
I'm just going to enter exactly what you typed into ChatGPT.
Mhm.
This is from Les, and let's see what it says. The most relevant standards to reference depend on the specific certifications you cover. However, many widely recognized IT certifications align with established frameworks. So there's like CompTIA standards for A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus, Cisco, Microsoft certifications, and there's a whole list there. Yeah, any question you have, just drop it into ChatGPT and you can keep refining it further from there.
And then Kara is asking, are all of these things free so far?
So ChatGPT is free. They have a paid version as well. Um, and then anything that you ask it to look for online, right? Any prompts you enter, it will scrape the internet to pull those in. As we mentioned, if it's behind a paywall, it will not be able to pull that in. The Job videos, you'll see as we get a little further along, we'll give you access to 5 of them for free that you can select. And then beyond that, it's a subscription program as well.
Mhm. It looks like that's all of our questions other than the seed questions that we have.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about a couple of those?
Yeah, we can dive in. I think this first one we've kind of answered.
Hmm.
What are some practical ways to ensure AI generated content is accurate and aligned with curriculum standards? So, I mean, again, always review and refine the content before you use it in class. It can, as we mentioned, be really helpful in generating a lot of materials really quickly. But there could be some inaccuracies as well. So that's why, cross-checking anything that comes out is key, and using, trusted resources, like from the different peer-reviewed sources are great to use as well because you already know and trust those. Um, let's see.
And how about number 5? How can educators balance AI-powered learning with hands-on experiments and real-world applications in STEM?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I would say
Mhm.
AI is a really great tool to prepare and personalize your lessons, but the hands-on learning is essential for that deeper understanding. Using AI to streamline your prep work, such as generating lab guides or step-by-step experiment instructions and data analysis questions, that will then allow your students to engage in real-world problem solving with their labs and projects and collaborative activities that you would have. AI will support that process, but the hands-on experience really helps bring STEM to life.
Yeah, and I would say, speaking as a former science teacher, I used to spend so much time looking for other labs to do than what I had been using year after year after year. I still liked using those, but I wanted something different every now and then. And ChatGPT makes it so much easier because we would just scrape website after website after website looking for a lab to use, whereas you could just go to ChatGPT and it'll scrape it all for you and find you the newest labs and the most exciting labs for your students. And that differentiation as well so that you can have a lab for advanced learners, for struggling learners, for visual learners. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah. All right. I feel like,
Okay.
are there any other questions anybody wants to submit before we move on?
Mhm.
Okay, I say we're
I don't
gonna
think so.
continue on. Yeah. All right. This
Yeah, I
is,
think
I'm
we're
gonna hand
okay.
it over to Carrie.
Yep, this is me. So, just a little bit about Jove and who we are. So, we've been in the higher ed space for about 15 years. We've been in the high school space now for almost 1 year, and we're just starting to develop our middle school content. So, that's going to be available very soon as well. So, you can see here that Jove creates scientifically accurate, engaging videos and resources to simplify STEM education. Essentially, what we are is an online learning resource that you are going to use as a supplement and use those videos to help enhance your instruction. So, as far as why you should pursue Jove, we kind of have 3 ideas that we really focus on. And those 3 ideas are: one is improving student engagement. Captivate those captivating videos, the quizzes, the multilingual access is going to be there for you. We're looking at improving and boosting student outcomes. So we have done research and it has proven to improve comprehension and test scores by almost 2 grade levels. And then, of course, time. Teachers always need more time. So that's the huge thing too, is that we're looking to save time by aligning to those standards for you. Not only in GSS, we are doing some state aligned standards as well. We've got Florida done, we've got Georgia done. We're working on Texas now. The AP College Board standards, we have those alignments for you. And then, of course, your LMS integration is going to be there. So whether you're using Canvas, whether you're using Schoology, Google Classroom, we do integrate with all those LMSs. So it's going to make your learning, your STEM learning easy and impactful and accessible for you. So, what can we use Joe for? So, the animated STEM shorts are essentially concept videos. It's going to visually simplify that most challenging topic for your students. So, you're going to have students that no matter how much you try and teach them a certain topic, they see a video of it and 2 minutes later, they're like, "Oh, this is what you've been trying to teach me for the past 3 weeks." So and then they understand it. So, most of those videos, those concept videos are gonna be under 2 minutes. Then we have lab activities, and these are actual lab hands-on lab activities that you can do in your classroom with your students. So, you've got step-by-step guides, you've got demonstrations, You've got materials list. There's even video of students performing the lab. So you could assign that out as a pre-lab. You could assign it during the lab for those students that might be struggling and need a little bit of extra help. And maybe you're busy helping another group of students. So that Joe video could help you in that sense as well. Then the science experiments. So it brings real world experiments into the classroom. So we have actually went out into scientist labs and videoed them doing their experiments and doing their research so that students can really see what science is like and science in action in real life. So, and again, the curriculum alignment. So there's short videos. Their attention span is not that great. So, they're used to TikTok videos and a couple minutes long. So those videos are really short. They're mapped to your standards. They're going to be mapped to some of the most popular textbooks that you use as well. So like if you use McGraw-Hill, if you use Sabas, some of those textbooks are going to be mapped for you. And those will be included as playlists in our platform. So, what do we cover? Well, we pretty much cover every science topic available for you in high school and in middle school. So, you've got, of course, physical science, chemistry and physics, you've got your biological life sciences, you've got anatomy and physiology, you've got environmental science, you've got earth and space, you've even got engineering and botany, astronomy. So, all of that is there for you. So this is just a little screenshot of what we cover, um, but we cover many, many,
And
many more, many topics.
yeah,
Yes.
Terry, I was just gonna show
Mhm.
really quick what the platform looks like,
Sure.
if you wanted to, walk them through it real quick, uh,
Sure.
since we're doing pretty well on our time here.
Yeah. So you can see here, the videos are actually divided into education and research videos. The video textbooks, which is that first link there that's highlighted and is the videos that you're actually seeing now, those are your concept videos. Those are the videos that are going to be that minute and a half to 2 minutes long to introduce the topic to the student so that they can see it visually. So like this one is on the scientific method. You've got the capability here to embed the video. You've got different language translations for you. Every video we have has a quiz associated with it. You can share it. You've got an actual description of what the video is about. And if you notice, it very much looks like YouTube. So it's very user friendly. If you're used to using YouTube and students are used to using that, then you're very comfortable in using this as well. So you can see biology there, cell biology. If you go to the lab videos, we've got lab videos on biology and chemistry right now. So those lab videos, again, like I said, if you want to click on that scientific method one, you've got the concept video, which is going to introduce the lab to the students. Then you've got the instructor prep. And the instructor prep is actually going to give you the procedure and the outline for the laboratory experiments, along with those learning objectives and the materials that you need to do the lab. And then, like I said, with the student protocol, it's a video of the students actually performing the lab. So you could, like I said, you can assign this out as a pre-lab. You can assign this to students during the lab to help them out. So all of the description there for the lab, this is all completely printable for you. So you can use that as well. And then for the scientific experiments videos, they are going to focus more on the methodology and the real world application of those scientific methods. So like here, basic biology, how to introduce them to a centrifuge. What's a centrifuge and how does it work? Understanding concentration and how to measure different volumes and things like that. So but again, you have an overview of it. You've got the procedure here for you. And again, all of these videos have quizzes associated with them. So you have an assessment for that. And then for the standard aligned videos, you can see here that we have high school physical science, high school earth and space, high school life, and high school engineering design for NGSS. And if you just click into those, you can see that those standards are there for you. And what the standard will then show you is the videos that are actually aligned to that standard so that you can put those into your lesson. And
Yeah.
you can actually create playlists as well from those.
I see somebody was asking, like, I'm looking for forensic
Okay.
science. We've got AI-enabled search at the top here as well, so
Mhm.
you could just type in here and see what comes out as well. So, there's a lot of different options. Yep. Alright, I'll stop sharing.
Very good.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay, so as far as how AI and Jove can work together, just kind of like what we talked about already, is that you're going to use the AI to create lesson outlines and incorporate the Jove videos in there for your teaching plans. You can design those hands-on experiments that are going to extend that learning beyond the video for you. And of course, like we did before, adapt for those different learning levels. You always have that differentiation aspect that you have to bring into your lessons, and sometimes you don't really know how to approach that for every learner. So ChatGPT can definitely help you out with that. So like an example here, you're going to assess retention with AI quizzes and prompts. So you could do like an interactive quiz or a discussion prompt using the Joe video on like photosynthesis or on the scientific method, anything like that. And so the next screen here is how to get started with AI and Joe videos. So the first thing you need to do is to sign up for a free account. So we've got this QR code that we are going to drop into the chat so that you can click on that. You can pick those 5 free videos. You get access to those for life. They never go away. And then you could set up a free 30-day unlimited trial with us as well. So we'll get that in the chat for you. That's there. Okay.
Yeah, and we're still doing great on time, so if there's any other questions you wanna drop in as well,
Mhm.
we're happy to answer them. See, ChatGPT is that quick, it created all my case study lesson plans so fast. Alright, I don't think
Couple more
let me double
questions came in. Okay. Let's
let's
see here.
see
What do we
here.
got? Is there any likelihood of alignment to Tennessee science standards? Yes, Thomas, absolutely. And I can definitely speak to that because Tennessee is my state. So I will definitely be working on that. Thoughts on including computer science, or is there already some inclusion of CS? I think there is a little bit as far as like the engineering aspect goes for computer science. So there is some, I believe, some topics on computer science in there, but that is something that we could actually consider moving towards as well. Let's see. If my school county is not letting us use AI based webs in school Wi-Fi, how am I to spend time to make use of it? I guess you would have to do it at home, right?
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. There's a question from Les about making their own videos on Jove. Um, uh, Unfortunately, we don't do self created videos within Jove. They're all created and reviewed from PhD perspective. If you're a PhD researcher, you can go to jove.com and there's an area there where you could submit to have one of your research experiments videoed. All right. Well, I think that we've covered
Okay,
everything.
I think
Yeah,
so.
please reach out to us if you have any further questions.
That's it. So thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate you being here. We really appreciate your engagement in the webinar. That was wonderful to actually have those poll questions and to find out some information from you. And we appreciate it. And thank you again.